Hey friends. I don't know in the order I'm uploading all of these, so you may have seen two others, or this may be the first, I don't know. But I'm doing kind of a batch of videos today because I've got this glorious day to myself to do that, and I haven't been making them much, and like this is time for me to like, yes, make some videos. Um, so the other two, if you have not already seen them, one is on my top Marseille decks. The other is on some nature-based decks that I've been sort of exploring recently. But this is sort of my Halloween month video. So these are the decks that I've got in my collection that are just perfect for Halloween. And because this is one that I already looked at in another video, and I'm not sure whether or not you'll have posted or seen the post, I'm going to share this one first. I will also put a disclaimer out there because I've spent more time today reordering the decks that I showed in these videos than actually recording the videos and editing them. This is the last one that I put in order. The rest of them that I'm going to show you are not. So just know that if you're one of those people who gets irritated by that stuff, either stop watching now or bear with me. And I made the conscious decision actually to leave them out of order purely because you're only really seeing the majors when I do that because I don't do full walkthroughs. So in these you'll get to see kind of a sample. Except for this first one because it's in order. And this is a Marseille style deck anyway. So this is the Trionfi della Luna by Patrick Valenza. And I did already include this in Marseille. So I guess there's a spoiler if I haven't loaded that. But I think my plan is for this to be the third of the bunch that I'm going to upload. So this, not... I've been begging on For the Love of Cards for some artist out there to please work with me on a Halloween Marseille, because I just really want one. This is as close as we've got right now. It's pretty great. I love this deck so much. You know what I mean? It's got a wit to it. It really does. It's just very, very clever. And it's dark. It's sort of monstrous, and there's like a quality of Venetian Carnival to this too, which I like. So I think that this is a real, contender for dark decks. There's got like, this reminds me of the Lair of the White Worm. It doesn't have like I've heard people talk about this in like a Tim Burton quality. It doesn't really have a Tim Burton quality to me. Actually, the Terra Noir, which I just got, which I did not put in this video, because I used it for another video, has more of a Tim Burton quality to me than this. But this, it has that kind of dark edge, and it's also got a playfulness, which I really find attractive. So I won't go through. I did, if you're looking for more of a full, I look at some of the courts in the other video, so you can check that out. Depending on what order I do, I'll link them if I can. If I can remember, which I frequently do not. Let's move now to a deck that isn't like Halloween-y in any way, but that has a nice autumnal energy to it. And it's a deck that I did a video in sort of, I think, my August purchases. It's the Darkness of Light Tarot, and I have it signed by the artist. I think that this is a really beautiful deck. Is this in order? It actually might be. Hey. Well, there you go. So there's a surprise. I think this is a gorgeous deck. I'm not working with it a whole lot because it is very Rider-Waite-Smith based. And again, as I say, I love that art. I love that deck. Waite and Smith gave us tarot, right? It's just not the system I'm working with right now. And as winter comes along, who knows, maybe I'll start to engage it a little bit more. This just has a really kind of autumnal, sort of early winter energy, color-wise, light-wise. This is, I said this when I walked through it a little bit in my video last month. This is some of the most beautiful tarot art I have ever seen. If I were starting today and I were like, I need a Waite-Smith deck that isn't the Waite-Smith deck, this is it. Absolutely. it feels timeless. So it has a modern feel, but it doesn't feel like people in jeans walking down the street, which for some reason to me doesn't quite ring as tarot either, you know? So these are the trumps, obviously. It's called the lightness of dark for the darkness of light for a reason. The light in this deck is really incredible. The bodies are really incredible. Not wild about this death card, but whatever. So let me just show you, because this is a Waite-Smith deck. Let's look at some of the minors. I love this Five of Wands. Very Waite-Smith 6. Very Waite-Smith 7. Really interesting diversion on the 8. The diversions in this card are the ones that interest me most. So those are the Wands. Let's look at some of the Cups. So there's the 4, the 5. So you can see most of this is pretty straight up RWS. I guess RWS takes more time to say than Rider-Waite-Smith, doesn't it? But it has a very sort of autumnal energy to it, which I think is nice. There's the Page of Cups. The ordering of the courts is a little different in here. I think Queen sits at the top, which I'm all for. The swords are nice. They have a little bit more of a wintry feel, as you can see. Really like this adaptation of the 3 of swords. 4 of blades, I really like that. 6, 7. The coins are the most sort of autumn feeling, harvesty feeling to me. I'm just making a mess. I love this one. So while this is not a system I'm working with at the moment, as soon as it is, right to this deck, because it is a stunner. And, you know, this might be something that gets used this October, because while, again, I did sort of edge this one too. While it's not in any way like a Halloween or even a dark, sort of sinister deck, it just has a nice energy for that. What's next? Let's do this one. This is absolutely a Halloween deck, because it is, in fact, the Halloween Tarot. This seems not to be super popular right now. So actually, I have 2 copies of this deck. This other one might be in order, too. Should have planned this better. I have an unopened copy, and then I have this trimmed one sitting here. So I can actually do a little bit of both. So this is what it looked like untrimmed, and this is what it looks like trimmed. I prefer it trimmed. What I do not like trimmed is that because the backs aren't centered, you get this white line down the side, and I haven't really done much to rectify that. I edged it in silver. I kind of wish I had done it in black. I guess I could go back and do it. This was only the second deck I ever trimmed, and I didn't do a super good job. I had a new corner rounder, and I didn't quite know how to use it, so I screwed up some of the corners. There's this issue with the side, which I guess I could run a black Sharpie down. If I do, and I could actually trim this deck, because this one is, but who, you know, kind of who cares at the end of the day too. So anyway, this is the Halloween Tarot. This is one of those times where the artist is not, I don't believe, the creator, and I have the book for this deck. It's in the other room. I really should have looked. It doesn't say on the box. It says created by Kipling West. I think Kipling West is the author of the book. Oh wait, no, I have the little white book here. Art by oh no, Kipling West is the artist. The book is by Karen Lee. Like that. All right. So anyway, this is the deck in order. What do I do? I'll just do a couple. I mean, this is straight up Halloween, and I love it. This is also straight up Rider-Waite-Smith, but I still use it a lot. It's definitely got a bit more of a cartoony feel than the other ones I'm going to show you, but a sexy lover's card there. It's definitely playful. I think this is a good one to bring to parties for Halloween. It's got sort of a non-threatening quality to it. So let me look at the trim deck a little bit too, because it's not in order. So you can see some of the pips. Oh no, it is in order. No, it's not. So imps are wands, bats are swords, ghosts are cups, and pumpkins are pentacles in this deck. You can see, I mean, I had never really used one of these silver markers and I really screwed things up on this deck. This is not my most magical effort when it comes to trimming and edging. But I do like the way it looks borderless much more. Much, much more. So, like the Raven's Prophecy. Oh, crap. That was another one I should have included. What a dummy. I can go grab it. Everyone's seen that deck anyway. That'll be in there. It's black and white. I mean, it's black and orange, so it has a quality of Halloween to it, although that's not the meaning of it. I should have grabbed it. But anyway, there's walkthroughs of that deck. So that'll be in there too. So this is the Halloween Tower by Kipling West. This is the trimmed edition that I trimmed myself. I would love them to come out with a borderless edition of this, primarily because of my issue with the back, but who knows? Maybe I'll just trim the other one and find a solution to that back. That makes sense. So that is that. That's the right box. All right. The next one is a very popular one. So anyway, the Halloween Tower, this one actually comes in a tin now too. So if you need to get your Halloween on, I would recommend getting your Halloween on with that deck presently. The Bohemian Gothic, not a deck specifically meant for Halloween, but I did buy this last year at Halloween because I don't have a whole lot of, or didn't at that point have a lot of dark decks. I did not put this back in order. This is a collage deck, which normally I find really creepy, but actually in this case it kind of works. I have not edged this deck, and I sort of wonder if I should. Great cardstock. It shuffles really, really well. This is a Baba Studios deck. Everyone knows that. But if you're watching this and you haven't seen this before, it's a Baba Studios deck. I believe there's copies of it still available. I'm not sure. They tend to do limited print runs, and then their decks go for like crazy amounts. They also do special editions where they'll be silvered, or silver around the edges, or they'll be like metallic stuff applied. Looking at this through the camera right now, it actually has the quality of a photo deck. It looks a bit more like a painting in real life, but again, like, I don't like decks that are super collagey, because I do like the lighting's never right, and there's just something weird about proportions, and photographic decks in general kind of make me feel icky. But again, that's kind of the point behind this one. Also, there's some really clever adaptations of these cards, or the Waite Smith images in these cards. So there's a quality of this deck that I like, and I kind of don't mind that it's creepy. Oops. I'm standing up to do this. Normally I don't do that. Today for some reason I've been sort of lazy all morning, so again, like, dark AF. And sort of perfect for the season. And again, another popular one. I'm going to shuffle this because I want to sort of just do that. Like, it just really shuffles well. The interesting thing about this deck and the art is it actually kind of reminds me of, like, funeral cards. So the cardstock is really good. It is slightly big for my hands, but it just shuffles super well. So maybe it needs to be edged in silver. I don't know. So that's that. There's an extra lovers card in here. I actually used the extra one and not the original one. And then last but not least is, I've talked about this deck before, but it was definitely one of my wish list decks, and over time I managed to kind of get hooked up. So I found the deck itself on eBay, but it didn't have the book. And I went a few months trying to get a copy of it, and it just wasn't working. And then Taroness on Instagram did a trade with me, which honestly I'm super grateful for, because it feels to me like it wasn't like a super even trade. But she sent me the book. So now I have the complete set, which I'm super happy about. And the book is worth it. I have to say that if you find this deck and it's without the book, I would try to wait for a copy with the book, because, you know, it just, like hearing why he made the decisions he made. You know what I mean? Like, there's almost half the book is about like the tarot, and reading Robert M. Place on the tarot is one of my favorite things to do. But let me see if I'll just sort of flip through the cards, and then as one pops up that I felt like I needed elaboration on, I will read to you why he did what he did. So, damn it, Ben. All right. My exposure is being wonky. The camera on my phone is super good, but it also is not like the best for making videos with. So again, there are walkthroughs of this deck, of the whole thing. Well, here's one, Justice, right? So it helps to know the story of Dracula. And if you haven't read the book, he actually gives you a bit of a summary in the guidebook. But Justice is actually two characters from the novel, Harker and he does this in the picture on our card depicts Quincy brandishing his Bowie and Jonathan his kukri standing in front of Dracula's castle blocking his return. So he explains sort of who is where and why they are there and what they're. So that's Mina's husband and one of Lucy's like suitors. So Mina was an interesting one too as the high priestess, because I thought, oh, interesting. But he goes on to talk about Mina in terms of the novel. Mina is the high priestess or papist for the vampire tarot. Mina is the heroine of Dracula and the one who is credited within the novel as having organized and typed the documents that constitute the novel. In the story, she uses the text to inform and instruct heroes and help them with their quest for Dracula. However, Mina was also bitten by Dracula and, in the baptism of the blood, forced to drink his blood. Although she's alive, she's transforming into a vampire. Because of this connection with Dracula, Mina holds a unique position in the story. She is between the living and the dead, between good and evil, and therefore between the conscious world and the unconscious. The heroes must destroy Dracula to save her, and because of the connection she has to the vampire, she is able to lead the heroes to him. Mina asks Van Helsing, the leader of the band, to put her into a trance, and through her she finds Dracula's location. Here we see Mina sitting in a trance state, leaning forward with her eyes closed. She's holding the text of the novel, but it is closed now. On her neck, we can see the 2 red marks that Dracula left when he bit her with his fangs. After Mina was bitten and drank Dracula's blood from his chest, Van Helsing attempted to bless her by placing the sacred host on her forehead, but it actually burned her instead, and we can see the red mark that it left. The mark was a constant reminder to the heroes that Mina's soul was in danger. At the end of the story, when Dracula is vanquished, the red mark will disappear. This card symbolizes inner, esoteric, spiritual experience. It can also depict a guide, a teacher, or a helper. At its simplest, it represents intuition and a connection with the unconscious. So, you know what I mean? Like, without the book, it can be sort of... Some of the cards can be sort of odd to figure out their message. You know, like, who is the magician? And the magician is actually Dracula in this case, but he uses a lot of different visual versions of Dracula. So we get this... We get a more Bela Lugosi. We get a more Nosferatu. We get sort of the Gary Oldman. Was that who that was in the movie? At the beginning when he sort of looks like an old man. Temperance is interesting. You know, like it does. The book is really kind of necessary. So it's an interesting minors or pips because they have sort of a minor. A Marseille style with illustration, so it's like you kind of get the best of both worlds in that case. A lot of his decks do that, which is kind of nice. The courts are all people who had a relationship to Bram Stoker who wrote it, or were characters that influenced the book. So he knew Pamela Coleman Smith from the theater. She was a set designer. This is actually Bram Stoker himself. This is John Polidori, who wrote a book called Carmela, which was an early vampire novel. Van Helsing as the Hierophant. There's your Nosferatu style. Dracula, there's Lucy being staked. The madman, the hanged man is Renfield. Again, sort of that Nosferatu style thing. There's the innkeeper. This is Mina again with sort of some alchemical symbolism, but this is Mina as the world sort of coming into life. Ellen Terry was a famous actress that, sorry, my battery's going, was a famous actress that worked in Bram Stoker's company. He was a theater manager, actually. So I really shouldn't flip through the whole thing. This is very sort of Christopher Lee in the Hammer films. The suits are garlic flowers for pentacles, knives for knives, stakes for wands, and holy water for cups. So this is a deck that I wanted for a long time, and I'm super happy to have it. This is a character from an early vampire poem that influenced Bram Stoker. There's my guy. So anyway, out of print, but not impossible to find. So thank you again to Taranis for doing this trade and making the book happen. Because this deck, really needs a book. So that's what I got for you. Those are my Halloween October-y decks right now. The Raven's Prophecy is another one that I would use probably. I forgot to bring it out. The Tiltwick actually may make some appearances too in my October work because it has kind of a haunted house quality to it. So that's right here actually. But everyone who's watched my channel knows how that deck has sort of come and happened in my life. But it does have, that quality of empty rooms and sort of empty crypts and stuff. So it might be nice to combine this with other decks. So those are my October sort of Halloween dark decks for you. And yeah, be well. I'll talk to you soon.